our Deputy Financial Secretary, Mr. Kenyon Lee, distinguished presenters, Ms. Narissa Golden and Mrs. Agatha Aspin, the managers of the Financial Information Month partner institutions, and to all of you, our guests, a warm FIM welcome to Celebrating Entrepreneurs. This evening, we are pleased to be hosting this event under the umbrella of the FIM theme, Financial Empowerment Through Education. As we celebrate 20 years of Financial Information Month across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, that's regionally, we have Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Kitts and Nevis, of course, where our headquarters is located, and here in Montserrat. We agreed that the focus of the 2021 FIM should be innovation in the face of financial adversity. Respond, recover, rise. 3 sub-themes emanated from that focus. And those 3 sub-themes are, let's get digital, equipping yourself for the digital way of life. 2, making saving, budgeting, and investing a habit for a more comfortable tomorrow. And 3, minding your business, how your small business can stay afloat in tough times. Celebrating entrepreneurship is our response here in Montserrat in terms of an activity related to that 3rd sub-theme, minding your business, how your small business can stay afloat in tough times. Now, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you desire to be or have an interest in entrepreneurship, whether you influence policy, provide financial support, or services to entrepreneurs, whatever aspect of the entrepreneurial ecosystem you are associated with, this event was conceived with you in mind. Financial empowerment through education. Are you familiar with the adage, knowledge is power? Is it really? I invite you to challenge the thought with me. Why? Because this evening, we will be sharing potentially powerful information with you. But because I subscribe to the quote from Herbert Spencer, the great aim of education is not knowledge, but action. I urge you, therefore, to absorb the information that will be shared with you and determine to use it as a tool for action. Only then can we truly claim to have gained the power of knowledge. Because power cannot be a passive tool. For it to be real, it has to be useful and used towards an intention. So, we scouted our business environment with intention. Carefully selecting our presenters, we intended that you would be well equipped when you leave here to enhance Montserrat's entrepreneurial ecosystem. Ms. Narissa Golden, Dr. the Honorable Samuel Joseph, and Mrs. Agatha Aspin, in that order, will impart invaluable tools to you in the spirit of iron sharpeneth iron. And we encourage you to make written and mental notes of everything. Everything is going to be important. Then, strike while that iron is hot. Use the information to your advantage. Innovate, respond, recover, and we will all rise. With that, I now introduce you to the first presenter. Narissa Golden is a storyteller, she's a strategist, and a teacher. For more than 20 years, she has helped Caribbean entrepreneurs across the globe through conferences, workshops, one-on-one coaching, and helped them to build businesses that create lasting change. She's a resident of Montserrat, and her company, Golden Media, LLC, develops digital and traditional communication solutions for international clients who want to connect with their ideal customer and target group. She's a journalist and an international speaker. She has authored 8 books, including her latest work, Start, Grow, Thrive, Build a Business That Lasts, and she has also authored The Making of a Caribbeanpreneur, Strategies for Overcoming Fear and Building Wealth. Narissa received awards for her work as one of the Caribbean's strongest advocates for innovation in entrepreneurship and technology. She is a certified facilitator for the World Bank's Women's Innovation Network of the Caribbean Accelerated Program and a 2016 Pitch It Caribbean winner. In that same year, she was named as one of 31 Caribbean women to watch. Our own Narissa is the founder of Montserrat's top digital travel and lifestyle portal, Discover Montserrat. She is featured in a new book by Tonya McNeil-Wary called Women Going Global. In 2018, she created and hosted the first I2L pitch on Montserrat. Innovate to Lead is a boot camp and pitch competition which provides aspiring entrepreneurs and startups a place to hash out their ideas and business strategies in a supportive and creative environment. It is a natural evolution from the Young Entrepreneur conferences she hosted around the region starting in 2006. Narissa's passion for education led her to start an alternative learning school on St. Martin called Victory Christian Academy. That was intended to provide not just her children, but other children a place where they could be educated at their own pace without the pressures of testing and structured examinations. From 2006 until it closed in 2017, due to the impact of Hurricane Irma, Victory Christian Academy helped almost 1,000 students rebuild their vocabulary, learn to read, explore languages, and prepare for tertiary education. Narissa recently founded a new company to lead the rollout of the Truly Caribbean Academy, an e-learning space to teach entrepreneurship and online brand building. She's a mother of 4, and she mentors many entrepreneurs. She's a frequent speaker, and she is a guest on many podcasts and live events. I'm sure you would agree that she's well suited to be a speaker for this afternoon. Welcome to the podium, Narissa.
Good evening, everyone. Give me a few minutes just to set up the laptop. While they do that, let me just acknowledge the presence of Honorable Premier. Good to see you tonight. Deputy Premier Dr. Samuel Joseph, always good to be sharing a podium with you. Our Financial Secretary, Deputy FS, and also acknowledge Mrs. Eswick, the Country Manager for ECCB. So if you would just indulge me for one moment, I know of a couple people who wanted to be here tonight but weren't feeling well. And I'm sure you have someone in mind who isn't doing their best or they're mourning. Could we just close your eyes for a moment and just send a healing prayer for them while we're waiting? Just think about somebody that you know could use a good surge of love, and let's just think about them in this moment. Thank you. So I took the liberty of renaming my presentation The Miracle Makers, because it was a nice title, but I thought it needed to be a bit more sexy. And I also wanted to think about how I see you and how I see entrepreneurship. I think a lot of us would acknowledge that whether you've been in business for a long time, you're now thinking about starting a business. Some days it seems like getting up and even succeeding requires lots of miracles, right? And so I wanted to talk to us today a little bit about why we are all miracle makers. So I can do this. 1 Kings, I'm going to start with a story from the Bible. It's one of my favorite stories. 1 Kings chapter 17. It's the story of the prophet Elijah, and he has declared that there's going to be a drought in the land. And later on, we find out that the drought actually lasts 3 years and 6 months. Can you imagine Montserrat with no rain for that long? Oh, I mean, if you've ever seen Silver Hills, you know, if it goes 2 or 3 weeks without getting a good drought or rain, you see how dry that gets, right? Could you imagine if the Center Hills looked like that? Not a good look, right? And so Elijah has declared this drought, and he's been led to live next to a river. And so he's been drinking from the river, and the ravens have been bringing him bread and meat every morning, every night. You know, their own version of Uber Eats back in the day. And things are going well. I mean, everybody else is suffering, but Elijah's doing all right. Eventually, the brook dries up, and he gets direction to go to this town called Zarephath. And the word says that I have commanded a woman there to take care of you. So he goes, and as he's approaching, he sees this woman right outside the gate, and she's gathering sticks. And so he says, "Hi, could you get me some water, please?" And she said, "Okay, sure." I mean, she's hospitable. And he then makes this big ask. He says, "Could you bring me back?" He says, "When you go for the water, could you bring me back some bread too?" And she's like, "Hold up, wait a minute. That I can't do, because everything I have left is a handful of flour and a little bit of oil. And my plan is I am going to make the last meal for me and my son. So there's nothing for you to have." And he says to her, I mean, stick with your plan, you know? I could understand you got your program, I'm interrupting you. But if you could just bring me the bread first, God promises that you are going to have enough to make you and your son a meal afterwards as well. And because she knows he's a man of God, she doesn't deliberate too much. But I know if that was me, I was going to be having a long conversation with the God of this man and the God of the little bit of flour I have and say, this is not possible. But they were both in the same situation. He needed a miracle because the miracle he had been living with ravens bringing him food every day and being able to be sustained in the middle of a drought, that miracle had ended. She is at the end of her rope. There is nothing. And she's looked at it and she says, okay, this is going to be our last meal. After this, we're done. And I thought about the fact that this was her story. She had a plan. I know for me, when I have tough times, I have 4 children, and I remember when they were younger, and I would have, there's not a lot to eat. The cupboards aren't looking good. The fridge doesn't have much. And I'm thinking ahead about, okay, what do I need to do to feed them tonight so that I could get them to school in the morning, and then hopefully by the time they come home, there's going to be something there. How many ladies in here know that story? I'm the only one? All right. So, and we do this. We will have these conversations even a week and a month in advance. You could look at the state of your cupboards, the potential. Some of us don't have good, we're not good financially in business, But you ask us to look in our cupboards and assess how long the food we have can last, we can tell you, right? And I am sure she's done that. She knows there's only enough for one more meal, and after that, this is it. What is the story you tell yourself about the situation you find yourself in? And this woman had a story, and it was a good story, it was a legitimate story, but the truth was Elijah saw her situation different. And remember I said earlier, the scripture said, God told Elijah, I've commanded this woman to take care of you. Clearly the email hadn't gotten to her. She didn't know anything about this. She didn't have food prepared for this guy at all. He was going to come and take food out of her child's mouth. A woman might suffer and say, yeah, I'll feed you, but when it comes to me and my child getting fed first, right? And he was coming and interrupting what she knew was comfortable and normal. He was seeing an abundant supply that was going to last, because then he tells her, if you go and make me this bread first, and then you go back and do what you said you're going to do, make your bread and feed your child, and if you say you want to die, you don't have to change your program. But God says, if you do this, supply is going to last for as long as you need it. And she needed to change her perspective from seeing this as her last meal and testament to there is going to be enough continuously. There's this quote from Iyanla that I love. He says, you cannot outperform your level of self-esteem. When you look at your bank accounts, when you look at the state of your business, when you look at the state of your life, it is an absolute reflection of you. It's not a reflection of Montserrat, the government, the economy, or anything else. You have to absolutely own everything that exists in your life. Because when you own that, then it means you have the power to change that. The minute you give the responsibility to the government to fix your situation, for your parents to have not treated you, to treat you right, and all the friends to love you, and whatever it is your story is, then you have given away your power, and you're not going to see the full potential that you can. So I want to ask you now, how do you see yourself? Because before we could even talk about how you see your business, we have to talk about how you see yourself. This woman had a story, and in fact, the scripture calls her a widow woman. So she was known by her situation. Her husband clearly had died, and she was now a single mother. What are you known by? Are you known by the crisis that you live through? Oh, the one that was with that man that was married, and then they break up, and then that one day that used to beat her up, and what are you known by? Or do we know you for the excellence and the value that you add to everybody around you? The scripture doesn't tell us a lot of details. It goes from the promise to her obeying and taking action. And I know for me, there would be this long conversation in between to get to that point. But there were some things that she had to do to get to the place that she could see the results that she had. And I want us to talk about that for a moment, because I think this is critical for you as an individual and also as a business owner. She had a promise. He promised her, and she knew he was a man of God, so she backed on the fact that she also knew he was the one that had caused the drought, right? And funny enough, he caused the drought, and then he's turning around and needing help for something that he created. But she also knew that his words had power. What's the promise that you are holding for? It could be a promise that you created for yourself. What is the dream that you have, why you are doing this? I think for a lot of us, and I know for me, there were times when I started, and I have had several businesses over time. And I always remember when I lived on the island of St. Eustatius, we lived there for about 6 months. I was married at the time and had my first 2 children. And I remember, some of you may have heard this story before, but we had this beautiful gold Mercedes that my husband at the time had bought. And he said he bought me this car. You know, I'm like, why do I need a car this big? It was one of those massive old Mercedes. It was beautiful, leather seats, it was gorgeous. But guess what? We were broke. And there's really nowhere to sell a gold Mercedes on Statia. Statia is 8 square miles. The population is less than Montserrat, okay? And we're there, we have this car, and I have to figure out what I'm gonna do. So there was a medical school a couple streets over from where we lived, and I knew, like I said, I got kids, and I will do things for my kids that I wouldn't do for myself. I can live on crackers and cheese, you know, but I like to know that I'm giving them a well-balanced meal, so I said I've got to do something, because if I remember correctly, the company had even come and turned our lights off, okay? It was that bad. But I remember I had about $20, and I thought, you know what? And again, like I said, Statia's really tiny, and about 2 streets over the other direction would have been the closest place that all the students could go and get food. But I figure, if I went right up to their door, they wouldn't have to walk those 2 streets. And so I began to just sell sandwiches, and I started with tuna sandwiches, cheese sandwiches, and week after week I would just add something else, juices and chips. And I would always tell you, I don't like to sell, but I had a need, and I saw an opportunity, and I created it. It was a temporary situation. There are some of you who just need to go sell something. You don't need to start a business. Don't start a whole business. You don't need the stress of it. Find something you could sell. If you can bake something simple, or if you could find somebody who wants to hire you to clean, I don't care what it is, you gave up secretarial work 10 years ago, you're good at it, go back, pay the bill, and move on. Entrepreneurship is a whole other kettle of fish that you don't want to get into unless you really, really want to get into it. But you have to have a vision of or a promise that you're holding on to that says, I am going to do this, and I am going to do this well. Now, I want to ask you something. If I said, where can I get ice cream on a waffle cone on Montserrat, what would you tell me? Little Bay? What's the name of the place in Little Bay? Sandshells, right? If I said, oh, my sign got smaller, where can I get my tires changed? Where would you tell me to go? Nick? Ellen? Right. Okay? So all of you identified 2 of the main places on the island, right? They're known for one thing. I know I can get ice cream in the supermarket. Can't you? You can, but I know if I want to create an experience around the ice cream, and maybe I want sprinkles on top that I didn't have to pay to buy a whole bottle, I know exactly where to go to do that. If I only have $5 and that's all I have to give my child a moment, I know what to do, because that $5 ice cream is actually worth the experience of them having it with me is more valuable than if I tried to come up with $20 or $38 to get some ice cream in a supermarket. What is your one thing? A lot of businesses here keep trying to do everything, and then they fail at it all. Montserrat is very limited in resources and in both finance and also people. It means that if you are trying to compete with everybody doing the same thing, you are not going to stand out. What is your one thing? What do you want to be known for? If your business is going to thrive, you actually need to cut out all of the excess and get very, very focused on your one thing. This woman had to think about the potential of what this guy told her. She was seeing this is the end. He's saying, you're gonna be able to have flour for as long as you need it. Can you imagine that? If she forever needed it, whether it's way past beyond the drought, because after the drought now she would have to plant and it would take time to harvest the wheat and all of that stuff. And he says for as long as you need it, it's going to be there. What are the possibilities that you are seeing for your future. Most of us, and I have been there, sometimes are in a moment, are always in a state of feast or famine, where I have enough just to get to the end of the month, right? If you ask me about the next month, I don't know about that, but I just know I need to pay the rent right now, I need to keep the lights on, and I need to sell enough to do the next thing. But for your business to actually succeed, you have to have a bigger vision. And I have found that it's one of our biggest areas that if we don't change it, we are not actually going to change how we actually do business and grow business. It's as someone who has, like Angela said, worked with entrepreneurs for a long time, I often wondered why was it I wasn't seeing more results, because I knew the information I was giving them worked. But because they didn't have any vision beyond the moment of, I just need a quick fix. If I'm saying social media, it says, okay, well, if you post 5 times a day, then you'll see something. And then they're like, oh, I did it, but I don't see it. But you only did it for 1 week. You know? You've got to have a long-term vision for your business that you work towards, and it has to be sustaining even in the moments when you are shaken, when we have opportunities like COVID that comes and just totally wants to take us off kilter. So you've got to imagine the possibilities for your business. This may not seem like the right time to some of you, but some of you actually need to hire people. The next stage you are trying to get to, you cannot get to it on your own. So you need to now be looking at, how can I strategize, change how my business functions, so that I can employ people so that we could just amplify, because you can actually buy in the extra time that you need. Some of you, like I said, just need to subcontract. Stop trying to be a man, man of all trades. Yes, Caribbean people, we're good at it. We can do everything. It doesn't mean you have to. So learn to delegate, learn to employ people even part-time to do that. One of the things I love to teach my clients is to hire technology. Just like how you would pay for Netflix and all these other services, find a technology that can help you do more and invest in this technology to grow your business. Again, Montserrat's a small marketplace. Most people I speak to want or think about the other people in this room as their customers. But you've got a world of customers. How can you change your business model so that maybe nobody on Montserrat ever needs your service? It doesn't mean you have to leave. It doesn't mean you can't operate from here. You just need to get a vision that's bigger than where you are. And that is actually one of our biggest limitations, is because we see each other and then we make a value judgment. Because I look at Adina and I say, Adina will never buy that from me. So then I assume nobody will buy that from me. But Adina is one person, right? And Adina may not be your ideal customer. You have to be able to see the potential for your business that's bigger than where you are. This woman had to believe. She had to see herself different. She had to believe. And I want you to know that belief comes with action. So one of the actions I want you to think about is you have to build your reputation. I asked you earlier, what are you known for? What do you want to be known for? If I said, if I walked up to you and said, oh, Adina, if you were introducing me to Royden, Royden's never met me, what would you tell Royden about me? 2 words to describe me, who I am, what I do. Okay, so in her world, I'm a media personality. Anybody else would agree with that? Or journalists, close enough? Something like that? All right, cool. So you have to be able to be known for something, and the things we don't want to be known for are always late to open, too expensive and bad quality, because I don't have a problem with it being expensive if the quality is good. Do you understand that? We're not against high prices, but when you don't deliver on the high price, then there's a problem. Always moody. or doesn't answer the phone, doesn't return emails. What do you want to be known for? We are quick to say that Monstratians don't like this, or Caribbean people don't support their own and stuff like that. But it's because it's my money. I can choose to invest it where I want to, and I want to invest it in a company that respects my time, that respects the fact that it's my money and I worked hard for it, and they want to honestly give me great value. You have to decide that your customers are the most important thing. Look at the information. A lot of you have data. The data might be, let's say you're a hair salon, some of the data that you can look at is what is the most popular service that they're asked for. Is it doing eyebrows? Is it doing weaves or braids? How often does one woman come back in a year? You've got data, and you need to use that information to redesign what products you're going to offer her. A lot of us keep wanting more and more customers, but really and truly, you don't need more customers. You just need to serve the 10 or 20 customers you have well, okay? Netflix, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but if you have a Netflix account, you have to have committed to not just 1 month with Netflix, right? Although you pay on a monthly basis, but you know that you have paid and you expect that every month you are going to get your subscription renewed, right? Some of you need to look at subscription models and different types of ways that you can actually help serve the customers. Promote, promote, promote. The data says we're all on social media, that most of us have 2 smartphones, right? But yet, I don't see you telling me what you have for sale. I don't see you telling me you have this product. Assume I didn't see your post yesterday or the day before that and post it every day. With the algorithms now, half of us that's on your page don't see you. So you have got to consistently tell us that you're there and you have this service. People would say I meet people all the time here. It's one of the coolest things. And they're like, oh, you're Narissa Golden. My kids say it just like that, Narissa Golden. Because people will walk up to me and they're like, I saw you on Facebook. I don't know them. But they see me, they see my work, they hear my reputation, and then they come and introduce themselves. And it's an opportunity to meet someone who I wouldn't have otherwise known has been affected by my work. You will not know everybody that is affected by your work, but it doesn't change the fact that you can have immense impact on their life. There are people who desire to come to Montserrat, and they're saving up their money, but you give up too soon, and you go out of business, or you stop doing the excellence that you were doing, and suddenly you lose that potential customer. Because I know people who I have never met who send me business because they hear about me. You have got to promote yourself, and you have to be consistent about it, because you don't know who will be the linchpin that's going to connect you to your next big opportunity. One of the things I want you to know that is going to get you through this moment and into the future is generosity. And I don't mean that generosity that lets people come back and have to tell you thanks, so you want everybody to know that you did it. But just having a generous spirit, an abundant spirit, the belief that there is absolute greatness to be had where you are and through your business. I believe that if you decide every day to generously serve your customers, even if your customer right now is only 1, it is going to multiply. The same way this flower multiplied for this woman. A lot of us are waiting to see 10, 20, 100 people come to the door before we decide to show our good side or to show the best thing that we have. But get focused on serving the 1 customer you have. If tonight only 1 person had showed up here, I was absolutely prepared to give my presentation because I believe enough in the opportunity that I want to share it with you. Be of a generous spirit, okay? And before I leave, I just want to say thank you to the Office of the Premier, Department of Trade, and the ECCB for this partnership. 40 of you tonight are going to get a copy of my new book, Start, Grow, Thrive, Build a Business to Last. It is a book I wish that I had had available to me when I became an entrepreneur more than 20, 25 years ago. And I wrote it because I felt it's my heart to entrepreneurs, not just younger or monstrations, but anyone who is looking to start a business in a time when things are so challenging. I'll tell you what it's about, because if you don't get a copy, you can still get one online. It is about 19-year-old Kyle who leaves community college and he can't get a job. But he had been helping this elderly woman with her Johnny Cake business, but she passed away, and he realized he knew her recipe. And so he decided, after searching and doing some research and testing, that he would start a business, a Johnny Cake business. And with the help of his uncle, who was his financial advisor and mentor, he was able to take the business from a local one to a global brand. And so it takes you through the principles and the challenges that he went through to see this simple idea as not something that was just meant to be local, but something that had immense potential. There are a lot of you who have skills that you are not using. I know you've got degrees, but some of you have degrees where there are 10 others of you with the same degree. But you've got a unique skill that you have hidden, and I believe that if you were to invest in those skills, that you are going to be amazed at the opportunities that are going to open for you. So I want you to begin to think about that. And thank you very much. And remember, start, grow, thrive.
I hope you were listening keenly and that you have gathered the golden, remember she's Miss Golden, takeaways from her presentation. She has actively promoted, I'm hoping that you remember, the sub-theme, minding your business, how your small business can stay afloat during tough times. And when we conceived that sub-theme, we thought of several things. What fundamental business practices and principles should entrepreneurs have in mind? How do you manage your business finances? What new opportunities are there for you? How do you adapt and innovate? What funding and assistance options are there? And we also considered risk management, the physical and financial risks that are there in terms of entrepreneurship. And I do think that, Narissa, thank you, you have covered those. You have actively promoted what we considered when we promoted our sub-theme, minding your business. Her principles, several of them stuck in my mind. As an entrepreneur, promoting yourself, having generosity of spirit, and focusing on one thing. And thinking about our next speaker, I found that the new possibilities that Narissa spoke of was a good segue into our next presenter's content. At the podium, we will be welcoming Dr. the Honorable Samuel Joseph, Minister of Communication Works, Labor and Energy, and he is a member of Parliament. He was elected in 2017. He is also our Deputy Premier, as I said earlier. Dr. Joseph was educated at the University of the West Indies and Baylor University in Texas. He holds a PhD in physics, a master's in computational physics, and he achieved first-class honors in mathematics. He was one of the 10 students accepted into the High Energy Physics Postgraduate Diploma Program at the prestigious ICTP, that's the International Center for Theoretical Physics, in Trieste, Italy. Dr. Joseph returned to Montserrat in 2010 as an educator at the Montserrat Secondary School and the Montserrat Community College. He taught courses in mathematics, physics, and statistics. He served as staff sponsor, and he coached the Montserrat debating team to championship of the Leeward Island debating competition in 2014. Believing that Montserratians could leverage their ICT skills to draw business from the global community, Dr. Joseph, along with his brother, Dr. Daniel Joseph, and Manish Valecha, who is one of our guests here today, established Montserrat's first software company, Lavabits. Lavabits has produced various apps and software currently in use by the government of Montserrat and the Financial Services Commission. He is currently the business advisor to 2 business startups, Fourth Dimension, the creators of the popular Plymouth Recreation Project, and Yadu. Dr. Joseph is also involved in various retail businesses in Montserrat. Recognizing that Montserrat is now part of a global world connected through technology and that our future depends on its ability to exploit geothermal energy and ICT, as well as our capacity to motivate and make use of its young people and human capital, Dr. Joseph has invested attention, energies, and his experience towards addressing these issues and has had tremendous success. He was quite willing when I invited him to be a panelist this evening, and his contribution will be quite in keeping with our sub-theme. The topic, innovation and entrepreneurship. Welcome to the podium, Dr. the Honorable Samuel Joseph.
Good evening, all. I'll follow the normal protocol, but I'll welcome the entire audience here. And my topic today is innovation and entrepreneurship. When we look around, there are a lot of Goliaths, and we need to stop focusing on the Goliaths and start focusing on the stones that we have to put in our slingshots. And my job today is to get you out of the valley thinking and start to get you into thinking from the mountaintop. We live in an island, and if you live in an island and you're in the valley, you're trapped on what you can see in the valley and the opportunities that you can see in the valley, and you do not know what's over on the other side. But we have to reach a stage where we go beyond seeing in the valley and think and get ourselves to the mountaintop so that we can see all the opportunities that are there. Because we love to idolize the past, because the past is comforting. It's something we can remember, it's something that we can spin. We can remember our days in schools and all our parents, our growing up, our time going to the village and all these things. And we can make the stories what we want them to be. The future now is more unknown and is more frightening. But we are pushed towards the future whether we like it or not. So we can either worry about the future or we can create the future that we want. But it's a mindset that we have to develop that regardless of where we are, or regardless of our past, or regardless of COVID and volcano and government and whatever is happening, we have to create the mindset that we are going to use our skills and our innovative ability to create a better future for us and our children. So I will start the talk by giving this picture here and asking the audience what do they see. What do you see? And the general idea that the general answer you normally get is that you see a black dot, you see a circle, in a square, and that's the answer you generally give. But most of that picture is not the black dot. Most of that picture is the white space around the black dot. But we spend so much time concentrating on specific things that we don't see the bigger picture, what's around us. So when we do our businesses and our other ideas that we want to do, we get so focused on what's directly in front of us and what we think is obvious, and we don't see beyond it and try to see other opportunities that exist because we're stuck in the valley or we're stuck at looking at the black dot and we're not making an effort to see what's actually around you. We have the white space. And the white space is for us, the entrepreneurs and the people, to actually create things. It's the canvas in which we are going to paint and in which we are going to use our business ideas and innovation to paint the future that we want to see. And we have to start concentrating on this white space and the tools that we have and which will be given to you to take advantage of all the skills and resources that we have to create on this tapestry the future that we want. So Kodak, if anybody remembers Kodak, was a photograph company, and you have things like the Kodak moment and everything, at least when I was growing up, I'm getting up there, everything was Kodak. All your cameras, when you go to develop your films, everything was Kodak. Kodak dominated the photography industry by far. They were the dominant factor. They were in front. There was nobody competing with them. It was the Kodak engineers, and this is the part I want you all to remember when I do my wrap-up. It was the Kodak engineers that invented digital cameras. So it wasn't some other company that invented digital camera and digital camera technology. It was actually the Kodak engineers and scientists within the company that created the digital camera. So remember that. We need to step back now, we need to look back at this graph. And what this graph shows is from 2000 to now, what has been the growth of the Caribbean economies. And the part I think I want to take away from the graph is that the Caribbean grows as half as slow as all other small island developing states. So if you look around the world, we grow half as fast as them. And it's even worse in the tourist-dependent countries. So the countries that depend on tourism only grow by 1.6% over that period, and we are the slowest growing economies across the entire world because we concentrate on very specific things like tourism, which are our main driver in the Caribbean. So again, keep that in mind that the Caribbean on a whole, forget about Montserrat, we're part of the Caribbean, as a whole is the slowest developing part and sector of the world, even slower than sub-Saharan Africa. And a lot of work has been done to that to find out why is it that we are slow growing. And what was discovered is that the reason for the slow growth of the Caribbean really has nothing to do with the money that's available. It has to do with the productivity of our businesses. We have some of the least productive and innovative businesses in the world. We do the same thing over and over and year and year and year. And as other people are innovating and changing, we keep doing the exact same thing and expecting different results. So what the researcher is not the money that is causing the Caribbean to grow slower. It is actually that our businesses are the least productive and the least innovative. Caribbean businesses tend to be smaller. They tend to be very old. We have legacy businesses, which means if you even look across Montserrat, look at the names of the businesses and the big businesses, realize that they're tied to certain names that go back before. We do not, so you could see it also in Montserrat, we do not have new and innovative businesses that come up and grow. We are less involved in foreign trade. Most of our businesses are internal, as Ms. Golden pointed out. We do not look to sell our products overseas. We look at selling our product locally. And most of our businesses are geared towards tourism. And most of the businesses in Montserrat is even stranger. We have a government, and then we have businesses that service the government. That is how Montserrat economy is structured. We have supermarkets and food shops and other things that service the government workers. So that is how Montserrat economy is structured. And most of our ownership of our business is strictly local, which is a representation that we do not have internal investments inside of our ideas and our business. We keep it to ourselves. We don't want anybody to be part of us because partnership is a leaky ship and all of these things. Just 11% of the firms in the region engage in any type of innovation activity. Again, we have the same businesses and we do the same thing over and over, and the world is changing on us, and we are looking at the black dot and we are not looking at the white canvas space in front of us and how we can take advantage of new opportunities, because the past is very comforting and change and the future, not so much, since we don't know what's coming. But my philosophy is, if you don't know what's coming, you create it then, so you know exactly where you're going, because you are the one creating the future, not going into it. So we have to, if we want to develop wealth and we want to develop the ability to live better lifestyle and we want to grow the economy and all these fancy things, we have to reach a stage where we start becoming more innovative in our ideas. You know, existing businesses can innovate, and also new ideas have to come up, and there has to be mechanisms to help people with these new ideas, as Mrs. Aspin and others will talk about. How do you provide the mechanisms to assist people if they have new ideas and new suggestions? And if you have your existing business, how do you look at things differently? Yes, supermarkets may exist before, but how do you do it differently? Food shops and nail places may exist different, but how do you do it differently? How do you market differently? How do you do things differently than what's already are? Otherwise, you're going to get overwhelmed. So we have to have a clear path in our business of what do we want to do. And one of the main things, and we always start wrong, is to start by saying we want to make money. And it's not going to work. Your main thing has to be that your business itself has to have a driving theme, a driving focus. So if you're Facebook, you have to say, I want to connect people. And that's what drives the entire organization, because all the structures or decisions are made towards we are trying to connect people. As Google, we are trying to make people search for things quickly, and that's the one phrase that drives the entire organization. So what is it in your business that you're trying to do in one line? Why do people come to you? As Mrs. Golden, formerly Mistress, as Miss Golden pointed out, what is your focus? What is the purpose of why you are doing it? And even as you have your ideas, are you looking outside of your company, outside of your organization, outside of government or other governments? What are other people doing? Are you willing to try new things, or are you just going to do the same thing over and over? Google is a company that's very easy to use. They have their internal firm, but they also pay to have parts of their company that develop new products. That's all they're doing. Even if the products compete with what they normally do. So even if you're in your organization and government suffers from this disease, and you keep doing something over and over, you have to accept that they're to experiment and that there are new ways of doing things to move forward. And how do you empower yourself and your workers and the people in your organization to strive towards those goals? Because it's not always about money, it's about people feeling needed and wanted, and you yourself feel that the idea that you're doing has some use, and the society understands that we need entrepreneurs to grow. So how do you empower entrepreneurs to go forward and to continue what they're doing to all these hard times that will come? Not may come, but that will come. How do you see yourself through that, because you're empowered and your workers and whosoever below you, employees, are empowered? And do you keep refining your idea? Yes, it works now, but do you keep refining to see how we can be better? And we did this today. It seems to be working, and if I do it tomorrow, I'm going to make this amount of money. But am I willing to change it? And we come into that. A part of the problem that we have in the Caribbean has been listed out, and we need ways to solve them. And I know we're here to hear about the Enterprise Development Scheme. So how do you solve some of the problems that entrepreneurs face in the Caribbean? One of them is limited government support, one, lack of external financing. Getting money outside of you is very difficult in the Caribbean. We don't understand the technology or who helps us do our website. All these things seems complicated. Yes, we hear about we must sell online now, we must do all these things. I can't even log into my Facebook properly or figure out how things work, much less to be creating posts and all these fancy things that they ask us to do. So how do you get people to get the technological knowledge to go towards the world that we are going? The difficulty in assessing true knowledge, because everybody now is an expert, as we have discovered. Everybody is now an expert. How do you differentiate between true knowledge and fake knowledge? That's the new word. How do you differentiate between them and being able to use it for your own opportunities? Monster is a small market, or market size is small, 4,000 something people. How do you see beyond that? And we have limited opportunity for innovation, cooperation. We don't work together. We don't have communities of entrepreneurs that meet on a regular basis and discuss their problems and solutions and say, okay, I can't do this marketing, okay, I'll do the marketing for you. I do your legal thing for you. I do graphics, I'll do your graphics for you. Okay, I have skills in selling things I could sell to you. And collaborate as a group and work together. We don't do that properly. And the last one, lack of sufficient demand. Those who are identified as the problems that we face in the Caribbean region, and you can see that these problems directly apply to Montserrat. And if you look at your own business landscape, it applies to you too. So we have to find, how do you get past that? We all have 2 cell phones, laptops, and all of these various technical devices. So a lot of the issues that we say we have are not really there. They used to be issues, but they should not be. Because if you want somebody to build a website for you, you can find it online. If you want to find out YouTube, Skillshare, anything you want, if you type it into Google, how to, an answer is going to come back. How to market, how to build a poster, how to design a product, how to anything. How to build a bridge, how to govern properly, wherever you type in, Google is going to bring you back an answer, and the answer is there. We do have the tools to paint on the white part of the canvas and not concentrate on the black dot. It's a matter of whether we are willing to utilize the tools that we have to do it. So with the rise of the internet and information that's available, we have the tools to do it. It's just the problem is that sometimes how do you differentiate between the sense and the nonsense? But the tools exist and we can use it. And as we pointed out by the next speaker, mechanisms has been put in place to assist you in proceeding from where you are into a different level for your business, which is why the government is trying to construct, in collaboration after the Enterprise Development Scheme, a separate innovation center where entrepreneurs can meet and discuss, have conversation, have meetings to discuss their problems and their solutions and to get continuous assistance. Because getting assistance now for 2 months and then it stops. And then 3 years later, election is coming, so you get assistance again and then it stops. We cannot be operating like that. It has to be that we are getting continuous assistance as your business is to enable to succeed and independent of the other organization, of ourselves and of the entrepreneurs and business people who will be responsible for building Montserrat, that you're meeting on a regular basis, discussing ideas and solutions and meeting with the financial institutions. How do you fund them? Is this working? Different mechanisms of financing things. And as the financial institutions see that the businesses are working and that you're actually serious, it's more likely that you can get follow-up grants and loans and investments and things like that. So we're looking to construct that. And we're hoping that everybody participate. And then I'll end off by discussing 2 ideas. Not that I expect the entrepreneurs here to do these ideas, but it's to get us to start to think beyond where we are and to try to think of new opportunities that exist. And if we follow the news and social media, you hear a lot of stuff about blockchain and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and all of these things is everywhere. And some of you all are wondering, what are they talking about? Does that even make sense? Should I put my money in it? I hear everybody's becoming rich and all of these things, and I'm here struggling. Why was I so late? Why is it that we miss these opportunities? That is the question. Why is it that is after these opportunities passed that we see them? Because the blockchain idea has been around for a long time, but it doesn't even cross our radar as in the Caribbean until it's too late. Things like virtual reality has been on the radar. It don't cross us. And not the specific ideas, but ask the question, why is it that we never see those and we never think that it is possible that we do it? So I'll just do this part quickly, because it's just the general concept I wanted to understand. So we have virtual reality, which is the concept where you put on a goggle and you could look around and you could see things as if they're actually there. So we have Plymouth, and then the question is asked, Plymouth was destroyed, and we love our past. How do you get back to seeing how Plymouth was, even though it's no longer there? How do you create a way that people could actually walk around and experience what it was like back in the day? And then you look and you realize a solution does exist. If you create it in virtual reality, you can put on your goggle, You can walk around and you can see what's there. But somebody had to know that that solution exists, one. They also had to have this capacity and the skills. So even though you know the solution exists, if you don't have the capacity and the skills and the wherewithal, you can't do anything about it. So we had pictures of, these exist pictures of Plymouth, we don't have the measurements. So if you want to recreate this, how do you do it and you don't know how high the building was, how tall the building was? Does a solution exist to that? How do you start thinking, okay, this can be done? You reach a stage that you want to do something and you don't have the information, and say, okay, that's the end, it can't be done. Nobody will support me, most not support their own. Nobody will give me the money, therefore this is a waste of time. We're done with the business. How do you see beyond the problem that you have in front of you and try to think about what's the solution? Okay, that's the problem. It's easy to give the problems, as you realize every Tuesday and Thursday. What are the solutions? You have to find ways to come up with the solutions. So, you look at this length of the car and you know how long a car is. If you know how long a car is, you have a measurement already there. You can now look at the length of the car with respect to the building and you could estimate the length of the building. You know approximately how tall somebody is. They're standing next to the building. That gives you an idea that you could now estimate the height of the building. So you have found a solution and you can now proceed, even though you only have pictures, in sketching out in these modern things exactly how the building was. And that was done. So what you see here is actually a computer-generated image that the guys at 4D did, where they actually created Plymouth with the War Memorial and the cannons and Marine Drive and all these things. That was actually done. But it had to be that guys on an island of 4,000 people believed that they had the capacity to create something like that. Because if you don't believe you have the capacity to do something, you're going to stop. If you're given a math problem and you think you can't do math, and you look at it, you're going to immediately stop. If you think you can do it, you're going to work on it for a week. The other person won't. So unless you believe you have the capacity to solve a problem, you're not going to get anywhere. So all this, again, is computer generated, and this was done. So it's to show that despite where we are, you have to start thinking about things that are out there, and the idea is to believe that, yes, it's just you. Yes, you have your children to look for. Yes, things are not how they are, you don't have the finances. But can you dream of something better that you can do? Which, again, this was done by the kids in an ICT program that was run, where they actually went and created a version of a video game, which they were excited about. Because we have to get back to the stage where we start thinking like children. Because when you're a child, you believe you could be a fireman, you believe you could be an astronaut, you believe you can do anything. As you go older and older, you get teaching that whatever, that you can't do these things and only person could do that. Why you think about that? The father can't walk the monster and all kind of foolishness. We have to get back to when we were children and believe that no matter what's out there, that we can do it, and surround yourself with people who have the same message. If you're around a group and the group is not enhancing you, you're around the wrong group. I need to find different groups. And people may take me to task with these things because they love to do it. But if you're around a group and the group is not enhancing you, you need to find a new group. Otherwise, you're going to get trapped in the valley and get trapped in the red dot and believe that's all there is, that we are just 39 square miles in the Leeward Islands in the world and don't realize there's an entire world and universe out there. So if we get back to thinking like kids, I'm going to skip this part and maybe not. There's also something called blockchain. And how it works, I'm not going to get to. But just to say that this paper here, Secret Share-Based Voting on the Blockchain, and the three authors there, the last one is the important one, by some Daniel Joseph. And the reason I bring this up because this paper was written by Dr. Daniel Joseph, my brother, about how can you use blockchain to do secret voting, which you receive patents and other things for. And the reason I'm saying that is that's a monstration at the front there, who goes beyond what we think is possible and all these new technologies that we do. Yes, we talk about a lot of capacity here, but we do have the capacities whether we use it properly, and is whether we tap into the capacity that we have elsewhere as people of Montserrat and related to Montserrat to get things done. And again, the reason I'm doing this is to show that we have to start thinking from the mountaintop beyond what we already are and see that we can achieve things. I'm going to skip the other part and bring it up with the premiere. But I'm going to end with this part here. Kodak is no more. You don't see Kodak cameras, they don't exist. The company has disappeared from a multi-billion-dollar company to nothing. And the question you have to ask yourself, why did they disappear? Not only were they the most dominant photographic company, everything was Kodak. In the phrases you used was Kodak. It was Kodak moment. Everything in the language was Kodak. They also invented, which is the key, they also invented the digital technology that allowed digital cameras to work. So they had that. Yet, they disappeared. Why? They get trapped into their success and they get trapped into where they are because they were making their money from the chemicals sold to the film and so. They had no desire to change that business model. They had no desire to change because this is how they were going to make their money. And no board was going to approve, this technology is out there, it doesn't work. Why are we wasting your time on it? Let's concentrate on what's making us money. This is what we know works. This is tourism that works. It is this stuff that works. We get money from England, some tourists come in, we spend some money, and we're good. Don't touch that. It is what works. And I'm telling you that Kodak died because they refused to adapt and the world was changing. So we're in a situation now as entrepreneurs, as a country, where we have a model that we have been using now for years, and it's working to some extent, we're still around. But unless we innovate and change and adapt to the new times and do new things, we are going to end up just like Kodak, where it's going to be goodbye Montserrat. So it is up to us as the innovators and the inventors and the entrepreneurs to not let that happen and to come up with our ideas and to believe that our ideas can work and seek the assistance where necessary, either from government, private sector institutions, your friends, wherever, to keep seeking the advice and to keep doing new things and challenging yourself. Is going to be difficult. But unless we do that, we are going to keep falling more and more behind, and we're already behind, as I started with. We're already behind. So unless we start becoming more innovative in our ideas and more productive, people don't like to hear either, but we're very unproductive. Unless we become more productive and more innovative, we'll have this desire to one day send our children to college and to drive gold-plated Mercedes. We are not going to get to that stage unless we start doing new things. And I'm keep on repeating it on purpose. Because we're trapped. I look around us and I realize that we're trapped into this glorious past. And we are not thinking that we need to create the future in which we are pushed towards, whether we like it or not. And it is up to us as creators and as business people to create this future. So, I thank you.
We invited you here this evening. To take you on a journey intended to support you as businesses, as entrepreneurs, in the idea of minding your business and helping your small business to stay afloat during tough times. Dr. the Honorable Samuel Joseph, thank you for building on and reinforcing the principles and the foundation set by Ms. Golden in her delivery. That solid reality check that you instilled could not have escaped any serious-minded entrepreneur. I ask you to acknowledge the challenges that he presented. If you don't know what's coming, create it then. That's a challenge, and I'm throwing it out to you as well. Believe that you have the capacity. Ms. Golden also said that. That's reinforcing. He also challenged that you find a new group if the group that you're with is not working for you. Maybe tough, but an imperative. Because we need a new set of ideas, because we have to get past the issues that are facing us as entrepreneurs and those of us in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, the idea of innovation again, that is a must. The negatives that are around us, I'm hoping that we see those as motivational ideas. Dr. Joseph said that in the Caribbean, in the region, we are the least productive. We are the least innovative. Let's take that on board and try to change that. And that leads us now to our last presenter, who is going to talk to us about the opportunities that are available to help us to get past the challenges that we experience. Mrs. Agatha Aspin, she is a lady of wide-ranging experience in areas of business and entrepreneurial development, which include, but is not limited to, business counseling, business education, business startup, business development, and business financing. She graduated from UTech Jamaica, formerly CAST, College of Science, Arts, and Technology, with a Bachelor of Education degree, Business Studies. She also graduated from Leeds University Business School in the UK with a Master in Business Administration in International Business. She holds a national diploma from the Business Educational Council in the UK, and she's also a graduate of the Montserrat Technical College. For 5 years, and listen carefully to this, for 5 years, she hosted a weekly program. Does anyone want to guess what the name of the program was? On Point. That program later asked the question, who is minding your business? That program offered business tips for business owners and potential owners. Mrs. Aspin was further engaged as at the National Development Foundation for over 6 years as the Business Development Officer after a stint with the government of Montserrat as the Chief Training Officer. She joined the staff at the Montserrat Development Corporation as the private sector business advisor. As you can see, she is well immersed in this topic. She served last as Business Services Officer within the Trade and Quality Infrastructure Division in the Office of the Premier. She serves now as a part-time lecturer at the Montserrat Community College and as instructor for the Management of Business CAPE program. And I understand that recently she was able to achieve 100% passes in the recent sittings. Congratulations, Mrs. Aspin. Now she's going to talk to you about the Enterprise Development Scheme or program, and she has been engaged in the role as Enterprise Development Scheme Project Officer, and now I welcome her to the podium to share on that with you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm glad that I am batting here at the last seat. I'm not a cricketer. My husband knew all about cricket, I'm not. But what you have had thus far is food for thought when you start looking at your business development from here on in. It can't be the same old, same old. We have to, as Dr. Samuel put it, we have to innovate, adapt, and change. And if we are going to go down that route, then the newly formed, newly started Enterprise Development Scheme is there to help you and to help all businesses. But we expect that with all that is happening around us, where the stats are speaking for themselves, that we are not going to be in the valley anymore, we will be on the mountaintop. We won't be focusing on that little dot, but on the white, big part to make our businesses grow from here on in. Now, what is the business development, the enterprise development scheme? The enterprise development scheme has been developed by the government to provide financial outlet for the establishment of businesses and to support growth of emerging and existing businesses on Montserrat. The scheme has two branches. It comes in the form of grants and loans. The total amount of money available for both schemes is 1.1 million East Caribbean dollars, 600 of which is available for grant scheme, 500 for low interest loans at 3.5%, the cheapest in town, because we want to help you to grow your business. We want to help you to use those innovative ideas and come up with new businesses to take us through these trying times that we're going through. How did this scheme came about? It speaks to all that has been happening because of the pandemic that the world is experiencing. And we know earlier in the pandemic, government had a package to help businesses, a stimulus package that helped businesses, but they also realized that that was not enough. So they have gone ahead and provide additional help. One of the things when we speak to business owners or potential business owners, the biggest problem always, we need financing. We need startup money. The bank's not going to lend us. We can't pay back, whatever the case, the excuse is. Government heard your plight. And through that came the Enterprise Development Scheme. The Enterprise Development Scheme, in addition to governments taking care of the pandemic, the support you are entitled to as a small business owner under the Micro and Small Business Act, and the additional support which will be provided through the Enterprise Development Scheme in the form of technical assistance, training, mentoring, and so forth. At the end of this, it is anticipated that your businesses would start and grow. Those which are already established will develop even further, and we will see more innovative and more sustainable businesses on Montserrat. Now, why did they start? In addition to providing finance for businesses, there are some objectives to this scheme. And there are 6 pointed out here, but this is not all the objectives. But these are the main objectives for starting the scheme. It would enable existing businesses to shift from recovery to growth by improving their access to finance. To support the establishment of new businesses by providing access to startup finance. Thirdly, to support long-term sustainable economic growth and development for all of Montserrat. 4, to enable the creation of new employment opportunities across Montserrat. To support and encourage innovation across priority sectors, and I will talk about the priority sectors shortly. And finally, to enable businesses to provide diverse services and products. Those are the basic pillars on which the scheme is being formed. And it's not formed in isolation, that you just create this thing. They are linked to government's overall development, the development that government has in place for Montserrat, and you can see the linkages here with government's policy. And they stated which particular objective in the policy that it is linked to. 1.6 speak about the sectoral resources unlocked for business development, investment promotion, and trade facilitation, aimed at stimulating economic growth. Link 1.8, the incorporation of innovation for development concept into sector development strategies. 1.4, develop strategies for addressing obstacles of doing business and implement sequenced plans for removal and mitigation of these obstacles. And finally, to enhance market competitiveness through the implementation of robust quality infrastructure, which underpins the development of standards across the industry. Okay, so those are the linkage of the program through government overall policies. And priority areas. The scheme is for all businesses in Montserrat. However, they have identified some areas which are priority over all. And when it comes to the assessment, those priority areas will be weighted a little bit more than the norm. And I'll come to that in a while. What are the priority areas? Information communication technology, or ICT, and you can't but have heard what Dr. Sami said. All those opportunities are there waiting to be unlocked by the young minds, the old minds, the not so old minds. Light manufacturing, renewable energy, environmental protection. Those are the priorities of the program. As I said, and I would repeat, they are not the only things that the program would cover. The program will cover all businesses, but these are the priority areas. These are the areas which will help us to grow, will help us to generate a greater labor force, will help us to be more sustainable in our development. As I said before, the 600,000 available for grants, and the grants will be made payable through the Ministry of Finance and Economic Management. Business applying for the grant scheme are able to receive up to a maximum of $20,000. $500,000 is available for loans, and the loans will be disbursed and collected through the St. Patrick's Cooperative Credit Union. The loans have a life of 5 to 6 years and an interest rate of 3.5%, as said earlier. So the eligibility criteria. We wish we can just say, come, the check is ready, come and collect it. But unfortunately, we want to see that the grant or loans given bear fruit, not bear fruit for you, but bear fruit for our island. And if you are in business, there's certain basic principles that you should adhere to. If you are in business, the business should be registered. You should have some plan as to tell you, where am I in my business? What it is that I want my business to do. And there are regulatory agencies that we have to remain compliant with. So we're asking you not just to do these things for doing them sake, but we're asking you to do them for yourself, for the betterment of your business. Because you don't want the taxman to be on you, so you do what you have to do with the taxman on a yearly basis, so then you remain compliant with the taxman. The same thing with FSC. We want you to do what is right to ensure that your business grows for you and wherever possible, help the development of Montserrat, whether through taxes, etc. So, what must you provide when you are seeking any of the two sources of funds? Your business must be registered. So therefore, you have your registration number or a copy of your business certificate. Under the Company Act of Montserrat, the only exemption for business not being registered is if you're operating as yourself. So your business does not, I'm operating, my business is called Agatha Aspin. So that business does not need to be registered. But once you have a business, and I know we love to have fancy name of our businesses, sometimes even trying to work out what does the business do, because the name doesn't tell you in any form or fashion. But we want that it sounds nice. So once we are sounding nice, that name, we need to register it with FSC. And then we have our certificate. We need to show that we're in good standing with FSC. I'm certain all of you here are aware that each year you're supposed to do your annual returns at FSC, at Financial Services Commission. So you do your annual returns. I see some people are squinting up as if I'm telling them something new. It isn't new. It's been there a long time. It's just that we are not compliant. And each year, so your annual returns, and you pay your little nominal fee when you do your annual returns. And we are being generous in that we say the annual returns up to 2020. And we need to show, you need to have evidence of tax compliance. You need to be talking to the taxman. You need to be submitting your annual assessment. And we're saying, let us see your your assessment submission for 2019, because depending on how your year runs, you might be a little bit behind. So we need to see a copy of that tax return to the taxman, and your stamped annual return, a copy of that will do. And we need to see a detailed business plan. We are not starting the Apple company. So I don't expect that you're going to be providing a 5,000 page. But there are some key things that need to be included in your business plan. Such thing as description, the general description of your business. What is your business? It might sound strange, but some people have difficulty to put on paper what their business is. And this is, you know, we spoke, Ms. Golden spoke about selling yourself. Most of us, the businesses are sole traders, so sell yourself in describing what the business is. We also need to say, who are the management team of your business? Who is the manager? And what makes that person capable of the manager? Because it's not just saying that Agatha Aspin is the manager and Agatha Aspin couldn't even do anything to manage her own finances, most like to manage businesses. There's no harm in having my business and I know what I am capable of, and getting somebody to do what needs to be done. But make sure that person who you have engaged to do that for you, you are walking alongside them. You don't want them to do what they want to do. Because many of us have it in our head and can explain. We may not be able to put it down on paper, but then we have somebody who can do it for us, what we want to do. And at some point in time, it is anticipated that you are well versed to be able to take over from that person. You need to clearly explain what your product or the service that you're offering. That too must be in your business plan, and how you would price those products or services. You need to say how you're going to market it. And there were many marketing tools pointed out to us today, how we're going to market our product or service. And we need to have that request for the funds. And we need to be able to say what we are going to use those funds for. Many times we request, there's a maximum of 20,000 and you apply for 20,000. But I'm applying for 20,000, but no place in your business plan have you explained what you're using that $20,000 for. Or if you're applying for a loan and a grant, you need 60,000, and no place in it make mention of how you're going to utilize those funds. So that too needs to be included in your business plan. And next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and again in early November, there will be a workshop conducted to help you develop those business plans. And it is anticipated that at the end of the 3-day workshop in each case, that you walk away from that workshop on your computer or on your flashes or whatever, the foundation of your business plan. And all you need to do is just tweak it when you go home or get somebody else to do it, and you tweak it and your business plan is complete. And I don't like the idea of just doing a business plan because the financing asks for it. Your business, you don't build a house without a plan. You have a plan. And when you come in, you may not be able to read the blueprint, but you can see the picture and you look at that wall and say, but wait, based on the thing, the wall shouldn't be there. So even if you got somebody to do your plan, you should be able to look at it and see if it is putting together what you want and what you have asked of it. But coming from the workshop, you would have that basis to build on. And at the end of the business plan submission, with all the accompanying documentation, the applications will be evaluated. And there is a team put together with the expertise, the local knowledge to assess those business plans. And those applications, not just the business plan, but the whole application. And the assessment team is made up of a representative from the Ministry of Finance, who would chair the meeting, Division of Trade, representative from St. Patrick's Cooperative Credit Union, you could understand why, and 2 persons from the private sector. So once those business plans come into me, I would look through them, make sure that everything is in order based on what I've just mentioned before, and once everything is in order, then they hand it over to the assessment team who do the assessment, whether it is for loan or for grant. And, as mentioned, there'd be a lot of support, because it doesn't make any sense to give you the money you run and you spend it off. Sometimes our business does not necessarily require a lot of money. It requires assistance, could be understanding how to manage that money, understanding how to use technologies to market that wonderful gadget that you are producing. So the in addition to the funding, there'd be a number of training workshops, and I've mentioned the one just then for developing your business plan. There would also be one in navigating to become compliant, the navigation through the whole compliant process, so that at the end of it, the taxman is happy, you are happy, FSC is happy, and you know, everything is, we're all happy that our business is going well, going good, we are compliant, and so forth. People tell me all the time, I don't like to do the thing about the tax because I'm not making any profit, and there's nothing wrong with you complete your tax assessment and you send it in and show the big loss that you made, because you cannot pay tax on loss. You only pay tax on profit made. So if your business is making a loss, you complete your something and send it in. And loss from one year can go on to another and so forth. Complete it. It is in your interest. You need to know what will happen. The taxman, we are in Montserrat. We know Grace is in so-and-so business, and we don't see anything coming from Grace. So the taxman would then assess her business. Next thing you have headache, you pressure up because the tax man is telling you you earn this, when you said that is not the case. But how would they know that if you didn't submit something? So it is in your interest to be compliant at all times. So we said navigating through the compliant process. We have a training activity in digital marketing, where you use all your fancy gadgets that we can't live without to help in your business, to market your business. And at the end of it, we will have roll out a coaching and mentorship program for young entrepreneurs, developing entrepreneurs. We'll have training in QuickBooks as well, and understanding a basic financial statement. It's one thing to engage somebody to do your finances for you, and they give you, and you don't know what the devil the thing is saying. It is important that you learn how to look at a financial statement and understand basically what this is telling me. Okay? So that is one of the programs that we'll be looking at, understanding a basic financial statement. Monitoring and evaluation. And from time to time, I would be out there looking at how you're spending the money. You tell me, in the business plan, when I looked at it initially and you got through, everything is good, and you say, in 5 months' time, I should be doing so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. So I just follow up as a project officer to see whether or not you are achieving your goal. It doesn't mean that you have to be achieving your goal, because things do happen. But at least I can see that you're on your way to achieving the goals that you set out in your business plan, and that the funds that you received, whether through grant or loan, has been utilized properly, and they're making a difference in your business. And that you remain compliant, and where possible, as agreed, if you say in 6 months, I would have employed 3 persons, at least I should be able to see that you have employed 1, other than yourself. Okay? So it's not just giving you the money and let you lose. We help you with the training, and we just monitor. And you can then, in that monitoring, you can say, but Mrs. Aspin, so-and-so, I need help in so-and-so. So then we can do that one-on-one and see how I can find the correct person to help you to get out of that situation that you're in, to overcome that obstacle, to move on. Okay? And at the end of the day, the Ministry of Finance and the government of Montserrat want to see that a difference had been made in the economy by putting into the economy 1.6 million. Because as Dr. Sammy said earlier, it doesn't make any sense to put it now, and then come election, you put in a little bit again, and the whole thing dead. If if the government sees that something positive is happening as a result of this initiative, I am 100% certain that the government that is in office today would see fit to continue, may not be the same thing, but something similar, so that, because at the end of the day, when businesses over there are functioning and they're sustainable and they're doing well, it all augurs well for the government, augurs well for the people of Montserrat. And that, my friends, are the information that I have to share with you about the EDS. You can contact me on edsmontserrat@gmail.com or on telephone number 396-1734. But it is on the application form. It's weird with that number because I tried to put on WhatsApp because I was told yesterday somebody was trying to send something in, but they needed to contact me by WhatsApp. And no matter how I try, it's telling me that 396 is not a designated Montserrat number. I called Digicel, and Digicel said, oh, on that number, you can't get WhatsApp. So the best bet is through EDS, montserrat@gmail.com or aspina@gov.ms. If you have any questions at all, I'll be willing to answer them. If you want to sit down, talk to me on anything regarding the EDS. But this afternoon, I'm hoping that when we all leave here, our brains would be tickling over so fast with the information provided to see, okay, we were thinking of this type of business, but maybe I need to think differently. I was looking at the dot. Maybe I now need to see the big white paper. I was in the valley. Maybe I need to be up there looking out and come up with a business idea which is innovative and fit. Give me more weighting because it falls within the priority areas. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Aspen, for that comprehensive presentation on the Enterprise Development Scheme. The information, in my opinion, was not just relevant to the scheme, but it was relevant and very in keeping with our theme, or sub-theme, minding your business, how your small business can stay afloat in tough times. Now, at this stage, we have come to the end of our presentations, and we think that there may be one or two persons with burning questions for either of the presenters. So we are giving 5 persons the opportunity to ask questions. 5 persons. You will use the mic in the center. You will use the mic in the center. So I see one hand up. Can you identify yourself, please, and indicate to whom your question is targeted?
Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening. Recognize the protocol established. I am the 4th presenter, so I don't think I'm asking a question. I'm presenting as presenter number 4. I am Gregory Willock, a businessman, politician, extraordinary entrepreneur. I put the extraordinary before just to show you that I believe I'm way ahead of what this presentation is about. And I'm living in Montserrat, and I can diversify if I feel like I can do change to fit the criteria that you just presented. So I will ask direct questions to each of the panelists, but just to identify the information presented and why I'm asking the questions. So clearly, there's a set criteria, there's an outline and an objective. One of the things I did not hear, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Aspen first, is the targets. Now, 600,000 with a quick mathematical division of 20,000 tells me 30 applicants can get the maximum. 30 businesses can get the maximum. And maximum of $20,000. I am not convinced that any business that will apply for $20,000 as a grant is going to have sufficient money to transform or to create or to innovate a new business that will maximize the outcome that you're looking for, which I have put down here to give Montserrat a competitive edge. Montserrat, not the business, Montserrat, because what was identified by you, Honorable Joseph, is that the Caribbean is halfway behind everybody else. Now, if Montserrat is going to stand on the mountaintop, we have to stand on the mountaintop. All of us, you said it, come out of the valley. So I'm coming out of the valley, I'm on the mountaintop. So I'm looking down or am I looking up? And what's the next step for me if I'm at the mountaintop? So listen, I am simply saying, if you're giving me $20,000, and as I said, I can diversify all of my business plans right now to qualify for every criteria set out there. The objective is, one element that Mrs. Aspin didn't speak about is that you can't buy goods for resale and you can't buy a motor vehicle. Correct? Now, I am simply saying, I don't have to buy a motor vehicle with the $20,000. I don't have to buy goods for resale. So I can buy a computer, which fits into your ICT. I'm going to buy a computer, and then I'm not going to manufacture anything. I'm just going to have tips and do classes. So that's transformation right there. But that does not satisfy giving Montserrat a competitive edge. And I'm saying, I am asking this simple question. What were the targets that you thought about when you said you have $1.1 million and we're going to bring this to the economy and to the entrepreneurs or new innovative thinkers in Montserrat that will help transform Montserrat's economic status to be the most competitive island in the small Caribbean that we have that's not competitive anyway. And Montserrat is going to stand out with $1.1 million. That's one question that you can answer anyhow you feel like. I'm just simply saying, you did not outline the target. I said 30 businesses, because I did the maths. So this is what should have been presented. Look, it's not sufficient money to give the whole Montserrat. We understand this. So we've identified the 4 areas. For instance, give me an answer how $20,000 would create an innovation for renewable energy in Montserrat that creates economic activity that's of competitive edge in the Caribbean or the world. I'm just helping because I don't think...
Right. So, Mr. Willer...
You want me to stop there?
Yes,
Fine.
please. Can I just say... You made a comment. I'm taking that's a comment.
Right.
And Mrs. Aspin's role this evening was basically to explain to persons about the enterprise development scheme and give the necessary information in terms of how persons can access the scheme.
Right, but is the comment about the target you're talking about? Because I'm saying, if you had just simply said to us, the target is that when we finish this, the key performance indicators that we're looking for from this project is to have 2 businesses out of the 30 possible at the maximum to reach a potential that transforms the image of Montserrat at the competitive level in the market from the mountaintop.
Okay, we hear your concern. Mrs. Aspin, is that a question that you would want to address? Or?
One other thing, you keep saying that 20,000. The project allows for up to 60,000, 20 grant and 40 loan. So it's 60, and you have a competitive business, and you start with something. The finance, if you have a business plan that you can start with your 60, and you're in a situation where you can take it to the financial institution who, looking at your business plan, may see that as a winning business plan and may be able to give you more. We're not giving you everything to go with. When you were small, your parents gave you so much and you have to create some for yourself. So it's not 20, it's a maximum of 60, 20 being grant and 40 being 3.5% loan. Okay? Does that answer your question, Ms.? Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Aspin. I don't see any other hands, so I take it that there are no more questions. And at this point, I'm going to invite Ms. Adina Johnson to the podium, and she will extend thanks on behalf of the FIM partners.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Lovely. I'm very delighted to have been here this evening to experience some of the amazing presenters that we have here on Montserrat. It's always a delight when we don't have to reach out outside of our boundaries to get expert advice, but contribute to the Financial Information Month, those who see the value in FIM and who want to continue to support the efforts to educate us on financial matters. So just allow me to go through the list of the FIM partners that you would have heard Ms. Estwick mention earlier in her opening remarks. So we want to start off by saying thank you to the Office of the Premier and the Trade Division, the St. Patrick's Cooperative Credit Union, Ministry of Finance, Economic Management, Ministry of Communication Works, Energy and Labor, the Financial Services Commission, Bank of Montserrat Limited, the Government Information Unit, ZJB Radio, Montserrat Social Security Fund, Montserrat Building Society, the Montserrat Red Cross, Nurses Association, Golden Media, RX Gym, and Regal Dental. I also want to say thank you to the Faith Tabernacle Pentecostal Church for allowing us to utilize this hall to host this meeting. And of course, to all of you who are here with us, both in person and who are joining us virtually, we want to say a hearty thank you for coming out. I think we can all agree that the session was a good one. And I'm not sure who else left or who else is going to be leaving with a lot of knowledge, but I know for a fact that a lot of what was said today is resting very heavily on my mind. Had I not been a part of the scheme, I probably would have had a few creative ideas that I'm thinking about that could possibly transform Montserrat, as the presenters have been saying. But again, thank you very much for coming. We have some refreshments at the back, so please feel free to grab something on your way out. And again, thank you so much.